news alerts flashed across Tokyo, Beijing, and Washington, signaling a dangerous escalation in East Asia. Chinese state media showed fighter jets on alert. Japanese channels mapped Chinese naval movements near Okinawa. The crisis began not with missiles, but with words. Prime Minister Sunai Takaichi's statement, seen by Beijing as a direct challenge to its sovereignty. The diplomatic fallout was immediate and severe. Years of watching China's military expansion had already shifted Tokyo's mood from pacifism to anxious realism. Discussions about constitutional reform and increased defense spending are now mainstream. The public, once wary, increasingly supports a stronger self-defense force. Constant pressure from China and North Korea has forged a consensus. Japan can no longer afford complacency. Takaichi's election reflects this new mood. Her platform, a strong, unapologetic Japan. Supporters see her as a necessary response to China's aggression. Critics warn her rhetoric could ignite a catastrophic conflict. The headlines are more than a diplomatic spat. They signal a collision between two powerful nations, each unwilling to back down. The era of passive defense is ending, replaced by assertiveness. Japan's leaders now see China's rise as an immediate danger to their security and the regional order. Takaichi's leadership marks a turning point. Japan is ready to defend its interests no matter the risk. The world watches as East Asia becomes the world's most dangerous flashpoint. Japan's security worries are rooted in geography and power. As an island nation, Japan relies on maritime trade through the South China Sea and Taiwan Strait, routes now threatened by China's growing military presence. Chinese warships and aircraft routinely test Japan's defenses, creating a sense of encirclement in Tokyo. The fear, Beijing could one day choke off Japan's access to global markets and energy. The US-Japan alliance is Japan's security bedrock, obligating the US to defend Japan and deterring potential aggressors. American forces, especially the 7th Fleet, are stationed in Japan, making the alliance existential for Tokyo. For the US, Japan is a strategic base for projecting power across the Indo-Pacific. The alliance reassures other regional nations and signals that the region won't be ceded to a single power. However, recent doubts about US commitment have fueled debate in Japan about greater self-reliance. Japan is investing in its own military, aiming to become a more capable and proactive partner. The goal isn't to replace the alliance, but to strengthen it. This drive for self-sufficiency is behind Japan's recent hawkish turn. Japan's leaders know they must be ready to act independently if necessary. The alliance remains central, but Japan is preparing for a future where it must do more. The security dilemma is driving Japan to shed its old constraints. The crisis erupted when Prime Minister Takaichi declared that a Chinese invasion of Taiwan would threaten Japan's survival. Unlike her predecessor's ambiguous language, Takaichi's statement was a clear commitment. Japan would act alongside the US to defend Taiwan. This broke with decades of careful balancing under the One China policy. By linking Taiwan's security to Japan's own, Takaichi elevated the issue to a matter of national survival. Under Japan's 2015 security laws, this could justify military intervention. Her words signaled a seismic shift. Japan is prepared to join the US in a potential war with China over Taiwan. For Beijing, this was an unacceptable red line. Takaichi's message was calculated, a warning to China, a signal of resolve to Washington, and a call for realism to the Japanese public. She made it clear, Japan would no longer hide behind ambiguity. The era of quiet diplomacy is over. Japan's interests are now defined openly, even at the risk of provoking China. Takaichi's leadership marks a new, assertive doctrine. The stakes in East Asia have never been higher. Beijing's response was swift and furious. The Japanese ambassador was summoned. China condemned Takaichi's remarks as gross interference. State media launched blistering attacks, painting Japan as an aggressor and puppet of the US. The goal: isolate Tokyo and cast China as the victim. In Tokyo, the government stood firm, defending Takaichi's comments as a reflection of East Asia's security reality. The US offered cautious support, reaffirming the US-Japan alliance and calling for stability. Washington's message. It stands with Japan. The coordinated response from Tokyo and Washington showed a united front. The diplomatic fallout solidified battle lines, turning a war of words into a serious test of wills. The region edged closer to confrontation. Takaichi's statements shattered Beijing's assumption that Japan would avoid direct involvement in a Taiwan conflict. By linking Taiwan's fate to Japan's survival, she redefined Japan's strategic posture. Japan's post-war constitution renounced war, but new security laws have expanded the self-defense force's role. Takaichi's doctrine signals Japan is ready to intervene in regional conflicts deemed existential threats. Beijing sees this as a dangerous reversal of the post-war order. Chinese strategists fear a more assertive Japan, allied with the US, will block their ambitions, especially regarding Taiwan. This perception is fueling a cycle of escalation. Japan arms up, China responds, and tensions spiral. China views Japan's moves as part of a US-led containment strategy. The result, a volatile action-reaction spiral with no easy off-ramp. To understand Beijing's reaction, look to history. Memories of Japan's 20th century aggression remain raw in China, fueling deep mistrust. Taiwan's colonial past under Japan adds complexity. Some Taiwanese feel affinity for Japan, unsettling Beijing. When Japan talks of defending Taiwan, China hears echoes of colonialism and fears neo-imperial ambitions. The Chinese government exploits these sensitivities, stoking nationalism and anti-Japanese sentiment. Visits by Japanese politicians to the Yasukuni Shrine trigger outrage, seen as proof Japan hasn't reckoned with its past. In Japan, pacifism is a source of pride, but now clashes with the perceived threat from China. The debate is about more than security. It's about national identity and the lessons of history. Prime Minister Takaichi's style is a sharp break from the past, direct, ideological, and unapologetically nationalistic. She's pushed for doubling defense spending and acquiring long-range strike capabilities, shifting Japan's posture from defense to deterrence. Her government invests in cyber, space, and intelligence, aiming for Japan to be a powerful military actor, not just a US protectorate. Security ties with the US and partners like Australia and India are deepening, forming a network seen by Beijing as an anti-China coalition. Beijing fears a rearmed Japan will fundamentally alter the regional balance and complicate its ambitions for Taiwan. Economic ties remain strong, but mistrust and the security dilemma are winning out. Takaichi's rise signals Japan's choice to stand with the US in a new era of strategic competition. The result, a more divided, militarized, and dangerous Asia.